Hey folks, this is BestInSlot, and in tonight's video I'm going to give you the rundown on the new Auto Hatcheries added last week as part of Update 8. I'm going to give you the rundown on how they work, how to best utilize them in your parks, and even how to make the skin system work for you. You can indeed pick specific skins for the Auto Hatcheries. I'm going to show you how. It just requires a little bit of finagling beforehand. I've seen a few comments now from people both on the subreddit and from my own comment section who maybe don't understand completely how these Auto Hatcheries work. There's no guide to these in the game. There's no explanation. You have to get the information yourself, or indeed from this lovely video. So hopefully by the end of this video you will know everything there is to know about how these brand new features work. First things first though, what would you actually use these for? As far as I see it, there are two main purposes behind the Auto Hatchery. Number one is to use them as a carnivore feeder. You want your Tyrannosaurus Rex to hunt Gallimimus, very Jurassic Park appropriate, but every time it kills a Gallimimus you have to go and manually make another one. Now you don't. You set your Gallimimus population and your T-Rex can hunt for all eternity. It's an expensive feeder, but it's a cool feeder. I think that's a really cool function. And the other, of course, is to make a Site B. You can now build a park full of free-roaming dinosaurs that are self-sustaining. They don't need any feeders whatsoever because your herbivore population is sustained by your automatic hatcheries. So really, generally, the point of an Auto Hatchery is to pump out lots of herbivores for your carnivores to feast on. It's a little bit mean, but it is really the best use case for them. Let's dig in. Let's see how they work. Okay, let's get started. So as you can see, we have a new Automate Bay button, and this is present again on all the different hatcheries. You can automate any of these in the exact same way. We're going to stick with the regular hatchery today. We're going to click Automate Bay, and let's say what we want to do is maintain a population of Gallimimus. So let's search Gal, and we've got a Gallimimus there. We can click Begin Automation, but before we do that, let's talk cosmetics, because there's been tons of talk about how to regiment the cosmetics in your automatic hatcheries, and I've done a lot of experimenting today to make sure I know exactly how this works, and I believe that I do, so I'm going to show you how. So as you can see, the cosmetic is currently set to random per egg and random per egg. The modify genome button though is blanked out. We can't modify the genome from this hatchery. I really hope this is something, side note, that Frontier is going to look at and change. But for now, we can't modify the genome in the hatchery. We can't change the colour, and we can't change the stats. However, we can change the colour. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave here. We're going to go to Synthesize Dinosaur. We're going to search out our Galli once more, and we're going to go to Modify Genome. Now, there's two things we need to do in here. The first is make sure we've got a few favorited skins. That's the R key on PC. Let's say we want all our Gallimimus to be white or black. We're going to pick Yukon and Killian Mountains, okay? Then we need to pick a pattern, and again, we're going to favorite it. I think it's the Y button on Xbox. Let's say we want them all to have a weird purple skin. So we're going to do that. We've got our favorited skins on both the skin color and on the pattern. Now, the key point here is to make sure you are going down and selecting skin color, random favorite per egg. And we're going to do that for both of those. Make sure that's done and click save and exit. This will not work unless you've saved random favorite per egg. It just won't function otherwise. With that done, we can go back to Automate Bay and once again search out our Gallimimus. Now you'll see the text here hasn't changed. It still says random per egg. Sometimes there is a little visual bug. I've seen this happen where that will say random favorite per egg. It doesn't make a difference, but sometimes the text will actually reflect the change. It makes me think this is meant to be in the game, but they've not updated the UI to reflect it, or indeed it makes me think this is a bug. I'm not sure which of the two it is. Either way, don't worry about what it says. This is now set to random favorite per egg. So every Gallimimus we release will be black or white with a purple pattern. We'll show you that in just a second. So now we can go begin automation. And we've got a brand new screen here. Now, first things we've got is population. That's a minimum of 6, which as you can see is the minimum population for the Gallimimus. So it's always set to the minimum population that dinosaur will have. Frontier just wants you to keep your dinosaurs happy. There's also a maximum population at one time, which is set to 30, which is 5 times the minimum, which is 5 times the minimum population. And that will scale appropriately with every dinosaur. So some of them go up to 35, some of them, like the large theropods, are as high as 5. And then we've got some release types. The first one is Gate Auto. This is basically your standard hatchery. It's going to release one dinosaur at a time, incubate that dinosaur, release that dinosaur one by one until you've got the prerequisite population that you stated up here. The second option is Airlift Auto, which is exactly the same thing, except the dinosaur is going to get auto airlifted out of the hatchery and then moved somewhere else. So you click Select Dinosaur Destination and you pick where you want your dinosaurs to go, and all 6 of your dinosaurs will be flown to that location. So this is obviously really good for Site B. You could have all your hatcheries tucked off to the side, and then as your Gallimimus or other herbivores die over time, as your carnivores die, your hatcheries can just airlift them in. You can keep the buildings out of the way. You'll have some helicopters flying overhead, but that feels like the lesser of two evils. So this is really good for that kind of purpose. A third one, I should say, is manual. This is going to queue up a dinosaur and then it's not going to release it. You will have to actively release that dinosaur and then it'll queue up another dinosaur and then it'll queue up another dinosaur, and you keep manually releasing them until it'll stop when you've hit your max population. I'm just going to show you what that manual one looks like just so you know what to expect. Release type manual, confirm automation, and as you'll see, Gallimimus is now on its way up to the top. So we're just going to speed up time, lovely jubbly. Gallimimus ready for release. So I can now choose if I want to release it regularly or via airlift. I click the release button. Gallimimus begins to pop out, and as you'll see, as the release finishes, any second now, Gallimimus number 2 is incubating, and this is just going to go on and on until there's 6 Gallimimus, at which point it'll no longer work. Right, so we're going to click Gate Auto, which I think is what most people are going to be using for this most of the time, and we're going to click Confirm Automation. You can see straight away our Gallimimus is now incubating. We've got this new green line over here. I'm just going to get that to pop all the way to the top, and our Gallimimus should release. And hopefully it's black or white. Hello, buddy. So, if we go on our Gallimimus, that's nearly English, and we go down here, you can see it's Yukon River Papyrana. Those are the skins we selected. And I'm just going to speed up time quite a lot here, and you'll see that every Gallimimus popping out is black or white and Papyrana skin color. And it's going to be random. You could end up with 6 white ones if you were a little unlucky. But as you can see, every single one, Killeen Mountains, Yukon River, Papyrana, those are the favorited skins we selected. So you can indeed have your very specific dinosaur skins for your hatcheries as long as you set them in favorites and select random favorite per egg. Even if the text doesn't say it's going to follow that, it will actually follow that. So really, really helpful to know, and now you know how to do it. There are some foibles with this. It's a little limited. I really do hope Frontier takes a look at this. For example, if I go into my Gallimimus now and I click Modify Genome, maybe I've decided I want different Gallimimus skins. I want them all to be Gallimimus 1993. It shouldn't really matter what the pattern is, so we can keep that on. Let's keep that on there, and then we're going to go once again to Automate Bay and select our Gallimimus. Begin automation. Same as last time. Let's get those out. As you can see, we've got our 1993 Gallimimus. Every single one of these is going to be the 1993 Gallimimus, which is fantastic, right? So you can now maintain a population of 93 Gallimimus for your Jurassic Park themed parks. However, it's worth noting that this then retroactively applies to your other bays. So I'm going to grab one of my other, I'm using Chiodenic's toolbox here. I'm going to grab one of my other Gallimimus. This is one from the first batch. And we're just going to spawn in a Tyrannosaurus Rex when I eventually hit the correct button. We're going to grab ourselves a T-Rex. So as you can see, our T-Rex is just about to devour the Gallimimus. It's not quite dead yet, but it's very much in the process. It's worth talking about how this actually functions. If we come back to our first hatchery, you'll see here both of them say awaiting population drop. They're both trying to maintain a population of 6 Gallimimus. This works on a bay by bay basis. So it's not a hatchery basis, it's not your park basis. Each bay has a population of Gallimimus that it tries to maintain. If you go onto the Gallimimus, you'll see it says tracked by hatchery 1. It would be nice if it even said /bay 1, bay 2, bay 3, bay 4, bay 5, so you could know specifically which bay. The point is, if a Gallimimus from bay 2 dies, then bay 2 will produce another Gallimimus. That bay specifically will replace that Gallimimus specifically. So we can go make another population of Gallimimus over here that has their own population to maintain. We could have like 30 Gallimimus over here maintained by a bay, as we've seen. And if one of those dies, nothing happens over here. It is all about the population per bay. Anyway, so as I say, one of our Gallimimus is about to die, and it was one of the ones from the first bay. So as it dies, we would expect to see this bay here begin to automatically repopulate, and we should see that any second. I'm just going to speed up time. There you go. Instantly, Gallimimus incubating in bay 1. So let's just keep an eye on this for a second. And there you go. So the key point here, as you can see, although that first bay originally was set to just release these Gallimimus over here, these Yukon Rivers and Svalbard ones with the Papyrana pattern, even though that's what it did originally, because for the second bay I went in and changed what my favorite skin pattern was, the replacement Gallimimus is now the 1993 skin, just like the second group was. It's always going to use your most up-to-date favorited. It doesn't get locked in, if you know what I mean. It's always going to use your most recent favorites. Now that obviously carries a pretty big downside, because it means you can either select random and never have any control, or you can select your favorite and have all your dinosaurs only come from that favorite pool. You could pick a wider pool, don't get me wrong, but you can't have like, I want this group to be always this color, I want this group to be always this color, I want this group to always be this color. That's not currently possible. This is the best we can do at this point in time. I do hope this is something Frontier's looking at, because I think this is one of the bigger complaints about the recent update, but in the meantime, at the very least, it is cool that we can set our favorites and we can control the population of our favorites in that way. So you can set your Site B properly. You can have a Lost World or Jurassic Park themed Site B and it'll work perfectly well, if being a little bit limited in the meantime. I really think that's all you should have to know. I don't think there's any pertinent information you could be missing. That is all the info about how auto hatcheries function in this game, how to rig them for your amusement, how to utilize them best, yada yada yada. Hopefully some of you at home found this information helpful or interesting. I think knowing how the skin system works in particular is really the key takeaway from this, but some of you may have been wondering how auto hatcheries function at all, and hopefully now you know that as well. If you found this video helpful or indeed entertaining in any way whatsoever, please do throw me a like down below. I really appreciate the support. Feel free to let me know if there's anything else you'd like to hear explained, gone through, taken a look at, experimented with, yada yada yada. I am an open book, and thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks very, very soon. Cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye.